So Kevin, let's change the topic. Let's talk about networking event. So
Okay.
maybe we'll talk about as a university like student who are university student, or sometimes in the workplace. Sometimes you meet with your colleagues in a conference. So those kind of networking event where you get to meet strangers essentially. Okay. So sometimes, or like me personally in the past, I had this fear of networking. I feel like it's out of my comfort zone, right? So on one hand, I'm not that comfortable meeting new people because sometimes I don't know them, they don't know me, and we don't really have a topic to say. So it's kind of like a bit awkward, right? Like two people or sometimes a group just talking, or sometimes the it would becomes like one or two people in a group just doing all the talking, and then other people are just standing there. Then I'll be thinking, what's the point? Like, why am I standing here listening to one or two people kind of lecturing or promoting about themselves? So that is some kind of a fear of networking. And on the other hand, I also feel like it's a bit of waste of time because I go to a networking event, meet a bunch of people, but after the event, we don't keep contact. It's as if nothing happened. Like, so I feel like a bit waste of time. And sometimes if I go to networking, I don't meet people that I find interest in keeping contact afterward. So that's kind of the background context for it. So essentially the question would be how to overcome the fear of networking.
Well, what you've just mentioned is very common. I've been through all of that. And if you ask, I wouldn't proactively go there either. Uh, if I have the choice, right? Um, However, there is a difference between you not preferring it versus you not having the skill to do it if the situation calls for it. And I'm here trying to say you can develop the skill and the competency for it, even if you do not naturally be inclined to want to be part of it, if you have a choice. And it's important because it is a way to connect to people, either people that you already know, but a lot of times people you don't know. And that's how you expand your personal network. And the reason why that is important is because if you think about what opportunities are, generally speaking, work opportunities, business opportunities, a client, an employer, those kind of things. If you only get in contact every day with people at work that you know, what is the likelihood of the possibility of something else outside of that? It's almost zero because you don't know anybody else and they don't know you. So if you're happy, very happy with your work environment, then I'll say, okay, well, maybe you don't really need to network. But I think just out of curiosity, right? You might enjoy knowing someone who is not from within your company, maybe from the same industry, maybe not from the same industry, just because there is something you can learn. If you really like the place that you work in, and you're saying to me, that's all I wanted to do, fine. However, what is the chance of you getting some, opportunities that is outside of your expectation, maybe higher pay, maybe in a different environment, maybe in a different role, that to you is a progression of your career? Well, it's very difficult to do that unless you expose yourself to other people, either in the industry or outside the industry, so that they know who you are, what your competencies are, and your intentions and your inclinations, right? So go there, not with the intention of showing off who you are. Go there with the intention of connecting to new people, to connect, just for connection, number one. Number two, to learn. To learn about the things, what these people do. So take yourself out of the picture, not to be such a main character in the entire network. Focus on what you're getting from other people. so that you're not going to be so self-conscious about who you are, your image, what do I have to say? In fact, I would say it's a lot more relevant and productive after the networking meeting to ask yourself this question: how many people do I know? What have I learned from them? Now, if you use that as your primary motive and your attitude, largely those fears would fall away because your role is now different, you see. Your role is a learner, an observer, a curious, someone who's just finding out new things. You will never run out of questions to ask, and you will always have the right question to ask because you're trying to learn. You will always feel apprehensive if you're trying to have a hidden agenda and you try to mask it by asking a smart question, but actually the person already know what the meaning of the question is, right? Like if you want to get introduced to a particular person or a particular thing, and you're trying to beat around the bush getting there, and that's what you think networking is. I don't deny some people do that. However, if you do that, I can understand the fear because you might get rejected. Or some people say that you're rude and they don't want to talk to you. And so my default position is go there to connect, go there to learn. That's it. If there are anything on top happen after that, it's a bonus. But at the minimum, you're going to go there to know new people and learn new things. And that, for me, would have been enough in and of itself.
So the learning part, I do get it. So because you listen to people talk about themselves, what they do,
Yeah.
and you learn a lot and just broaden your horizon. But what about the connect? So what does that mean to connect with someone in the networking? Does that mean I get the business card? Does that mean I add you on LinkedIn? Does that mean I add you on social media, or I have your phone number and I keep contact with you afterward? So what would be classified as the connect, right?
So connect to me at the very basic level would be, I know some of your personal experience and your personal stories. Maybe work related, maybe not, but it is personal. Because if you don't get to that level of conversation or exchange, meaning that I'll tell you something about myself and you tell me something about yourself, then very likely that your relationship with me is going to be purely transactional. Oh, if I have a product that I suit, then I'll call you. If you have a product that suits, then I'll call you. And that's it. It's not going to be it's going to carry no warmth in that relationship. And in and of itself, that relationship won't grow unless there is money involved or some other relationship introduction involved that leads to more money, right? Personally, I find that stressful because I got to keep score. I got to devise a strategy. I've got to outthink the other person. For me, it's just too stressful. So connection means to me is we had a great conversation. It feels real. I have just the intention to get to know you with no expectation, with no agenda. And if we connected that night and the things we talk about, we both enjoy and we share some things that we regard as important, then more likely than not, I'm going to just shoot you an email and say, hey, I really enjoyed the conversation. Let's keep in contact. And I might add you on LinkedIn. And then I might, 2 or 3 months' time, shoot you a message and say, how are you? Do you want to come over for a chat? Or some things like that. Because not with any context that I want something from you is a very important aspect of nurturing a relationship. If every time this guy called me, I suspect that he wants something from me, would you like to go out with this guy? Probably not, right? I mean, I don't want to generalize, but let's say, there's a lot of insurance agent selling either insurance or wealth management products. How many calls do I take? Probably none, because unless I have a need, I don't want to waste their time and I don't want to waste my time. So But if someone called me out, it's not talking about a product, they just want to catch up, yeah, I'll be more inclined to say yes. So that's what I mean by connection.
Sometimes, like, does that mean we have to be selective? Like, we do not do that with every single one that we so-called connect or met in the networking event, but only a handful of people that we find common interest, that we share some similarity, that we want to continue to nurture that relationship, right? Could I understand correct?
To me, that is certainly the case. And I'm not saying everybody has to be like me, but to me, that is the case because the likelihood of reconnecting would be far higher if you're only selecting those people that you feel that there is a genuine sharing of some common things in your conversation, and then you both enjoy. Let's say you have a very thoughtful, conversation. You went deep. How many people do you meet in a social environment that would give you that kind of feeling? Not very often. So if someone would like to connect, you say, oh yeah, please. Yes, definitely. I may not see this guy every day or every week, but definitely every few months, I'll be interested, right? And if you go to a few networking meetings and you just have 2 or 3 at a time, after a while, these contacts starts to build up. You're not going to have the time to keep that close a contact that regularly anyway. So to me, a warm contact, but a quality contact that I meet only once every few months is far better than a meaningless transactional contact that catches up over nothing, over a coffee, talk about a market, for half an hour every month. To me, I rate quality over the quantity, but that's just me personally.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned is just part of the reason why there's such a fear of networking. Because most of the people we met or we are going to meet will be these transactional relationship. People looking to get something from you, or there is a hidden motive or agenda behind the meeting with you. So, and that's maybe part of the reason why people are a bit hesitant to go to networking event, because, well, if I go there, chances are I'm going to meet all these people who want to sell me something or get something from me. So why go there, right? Why bother? So,
right.
I mean, that could be the case. And yeah.
And I'm saying you're going to meet those people, when you're in the networking meeting, just be mentally prepared. Just because you meet them doesn't mean you have to stick with them all night long. Generally, I would say it's not good to immediately say goodbye to someone you just meet. Got to give them a few minutes, right? But there are nice ways to excuse yourself, like going to the toilet, getting a drink, or waving at an invisible friend somewhere else that says, oh, I've got to catch up with this guy I haven't seen for years. 15 out of different reasons. And you can use all of them just to make the other person, just look after their feelings. Because remember, you don't want to be rejected. You're afraid of being rejected. Then to the best of your powers, do not do this to other people. Yeah, it's unnecessary.
I think we have covered enough for the fear of networking. Yeah. Thanks, Kevin.
Cool. Thank you.